Welcome to another Raid Shadow Legends video. Hope you guys are having an amazing day. In today's video, guys, I want to showcase Ninja in the Chimera. In the previous video that I've made related to the Chimera clan boss, a lot of people were like, Skratch, we don't have Marius. Skratch, we don't have Newt. So I want to basically show you an alternative, one of the best free alternatives, right? So Ninja was a free champion twice. By now, every single person that is looking to move into the Chimera clan boss should have Ninja, with a few exceptions, right? If you're free to play and you just started playing recently, most likely you're not ready for the Chimera, and most likely you missed Ninja, which was a free champion a few months ago, around 3 months ago, if I'm not mistaken. Why is Ninja so good for this content, guys? Basically, he's passive. So his ability to stack up the attack and crit damage is making him go to the next level, basically. At the moment, most of the raw damage dealers are struggling in the Chimera, and that's mainly because we do not have an area bonus Great Hall like we have in the Hydra and pretty much every other content, right? If you have this ignore defense, you have the crit damage, the speed, the attack, etc. Raw damage dealers will kind of like be at the top of the food chain. But at the moment, the enemy max HP champions are some of the best options. That's, of course, if you don't have Toshiro. Now, Toshiro as well, like Ninja, will basically increase his stats, right? And that's mainly from this skill. But we're gonna leave mythicals for another video. As I mentioned, Ninja, he brings defense down. He brings HP burn, which is very, very helpful with one of the trials because you will require HP burn. Personally, I dropped Toshiro from my team to bring in Ninja just to be able to complete an extra trial. Then, of course, this skill hits pretty hard as well. So the whole idea with Ninja, guys, you will require an increased attack champion. I'm going to show you what sort of numbers I'm getting with my Ninja. Keep in mind, this is endgame content. I'm doing Ultra Nightmare and Nightmare. My builds are pretty strong. But all you have to do is basically put everything down to your own level. If you're going on brutal, if you're going on hard on the other difficulties, you don't need to have the same stats like me. Plus, your champions don't need to hit as hard as mine. And that's mainly because the requirement for the chests are much lower than on Ultra Nightmare. This is the first skill that I've done right here on Ultra Nightmare. And I haven't prioritized the damage. I haven't went all in just to get damage. I was paying attention more to complete trials rather than break everything, use the skills non-stop to deal crazy damage. Now, last week, I've dealt 200 plus million damage only with Ninja alone, right? And the rest of the champions added more, but his own damage was over 200 million. I've already used my Ultra Nightmare team key, so we're going to go on Nightmare. This is the team that we're running. We have Nekmotar, we have Elva, we have Lydia, we have Mikage. If you're fortunate enough to have Mikage, Ninja is going to benefit even more from it. I will show you all of the builds at the end. So, in terms of trials, it is pretty important to try and complete as many as possible. Personally, I am trying to focus more on trials rather than on damage overall. I don't really care about the milestones for the Clash. You're not really getting much from that. You're getting a few gemstones, which, let's be honest, if I'm getting them in 1 week or in 2 weeks, it's pretty much the same thing. So this one right here will require HP burn. You can do it with brimstone, but it's a lot of RNG. You need the timing to be perfect, so that will basically just make you restart the run multiple times in order to get that done. Plus, another thing that's very important with Ninja is that he brings his own perfect veil. So you don't need any other champion to give your damage dealer perfect veil to complete other trials, right? So that's the beauty of Ninja. Plus, that defense down, as I mentioned, is really, really helpful. So let's crack on it. Let me just show you how insane Ninja can be for this content. You have Toshiro as the #1 damage dealer. #2 damage dealer is Marius, in my opinion, because he does bring a lot of damage. Then we can talk about Acrisia, we can talk about Newt. Ninja is definitely in the top 5 conversation. Once he's gonna stack the passive, he will really push in big numbers. I'm talking over 1 million per hit. And that's very, very helpful. Now, as I mentioned, this is on Nightmare and Ultra Nightmare. On the lower difficulties, you don't require 1+ million per hits because the top chest is not requiring 90 million or 100+ million damage, right? This is a tricky pony, this boss, to be honest. The ram form is just so freaking painful. So you want to use the skills on Ninja as often as possible just to stack the passive faster. I do have a toxic set on my Mikage, which tends to mess up a couple of things at the beginning if I'm putting the HP burn with Ninja, because I won't be able to put the block buffs most likely with Lydia, and the boss will get the increased speed. But that's another thing that's required for me to complete other trials where I need to put 10 debuffs on the target, and block active skills cannot be one of them. I think that's on the Viper form, if I'm not mistaken. So there's a lot of RNG in this run. You see, no block buffs this time around, but that's fine. And he is honestly the best free option that most people have that don't have Marius, right? If you have Marius, it's a completely different story. You're going to be able to get some crazy scores. But if you don't have Marius, Ninja becomes the best free option that players have. And there is another one. I will do a video on that champion probably in the next few days. And I'm talking about Val the Destroyer. Absolutely amazing. So what I'm going to do right here, I'm going to decrease the buffs on the boss to make sure he's not going to have that increased speed for multiple turns, because that can be pretty nasty. You want to keep the boss as slow as possible. That's basically the whole idea. And I feel like we need around 10+ Chimera turns to make sure we're fully stacking our passive with Ninja. Nekmotar is an absolute monster in here. I've already released a video on Nekmotar, so definitely check that out. He is just insane for this content, especially if you don't have a Sina. To be honest, even if you have her and you're going for trials, Nekmotar most likely will be in your team. He allowed me basically to kick Toshiro out of the team because I already have Leech from him, right? And Ninja is the best contender after. Let's increase the duration of buffs right there. We can still debuff. We are on the Chimera turn 4 right now. Let's melt with that HP burn. You see, the damage is not crazy just yet. But once you're getting 100% increased attack on Ninja, he's gonna go absolutely ham. Especially with the A3, the A2. The A1 will do an amazing job as well, but the other skills are just crazy. 626k. We are starting slowly to get bigger numbers in here. It does take a bit of time for us to basically use all of the active skills in order to increase the passive. All of the stats from the passive. You see, that's over 1 million, plus you have the HP burn, which is really helpful. The A1 slowly getting to 500,000. We did not have increased attack right there, actually. Should we put this? Yes, let's put the block buffs. Let's increase the duration of the block buffs. 530k. Let's see if we can get a few more turns in here. Lydia, Mikage, can you take a turn as well? Beautiful. Actually, I will use this increased attack. Hell yeah. And the ally attack, Ninja, A1, and boss, come on. Beautiful. Kill my Nekmo. Kill him! So we can bring him back. Now, if we're going for trials, again, it really depends what team you have and stuff. I'm gonna have to metamorph with Mikage here. That's why I made sure that I'm putting the increased attack and everything else before. I need the increased accuracy to complete this trial. This form is absolutely painful when we're talking about trials, guys. On Nightmare, I really struggle to complete any trials in here, to be honest, because they're bugged. So if your champions die when you're dealing damage, the damage doesn't count towards it, you know? So it really sucks. Hopefully they're gonna fix it ASAP. So if we're gonna go with the A1 right here, we might die. Okay. Was that a weak hit? It did not look like a weak hit, but because we had no defense down, that actually helped us. So let's put the block buffs. We want to put the fear. That's the main thing that we really need to put in here in order to be able to deal some serious damage. And basically to help us with the trials. Okay, that's fine. Put a decreased attack. Let's do the A3. Okay, a weak hit, unfortunately. But we completed one of the trials. And that was the very first one that required us to land debuffs. So we can put a fear back on the boss. That's why Lydia, she's pretty damn solid in here. On Nightmare, of course, it will be slightly easier to complete trials because the requirements for damage are not as high. So I'm going to try to go with this skill. Okay. Got a bit of damage, but not enough, you see? It did not count towards this. It did not count towards this. Most likely, we did not have the increased crit rate or increased crit damage, but that's fine. We're going to try to bring it back after. And there is no point to apply that defense down and weaken with Lydia, to be honest. Because that can mess you up, but then at the same time, you do need to deal the damage. So it really sucks, this form, to be honest. If you don't have block damage, if you're not able to bring in a block damage champion or an unkillable, you're really going to struggle here. Ah, damn, we got a stun on a Mikage. That's a bit unfortunate because I was kind of like counting on it. So let's get that up and running. I was counting to get that increased crit rate or increased crit damage. Ninja died again, 192k. You see how hard it is to get these trials done? Because they just die. That's why it's still better to have defense down and weaken. Your champions will die regardless. If they deal good damage, they will die without defense down and weaken. So having defense down and weaken at least will give them a massive, massive hit, right? So if I use that skill, I'm probably going to get 800k damage instead of getting only what we got right there, 200k. So it's still better to land the defense down and weaken. Damage from War Master and the rest of the things, unfortunately, doesn't count towards it, as you guys may notice. So it's basically just the raw damage that your team is dealing. So the more, the merrier, of course. The more, the merrier. Unfortunately, this is how this form is being played. You know, your champions are dead for most of the fight. Or at least, my damage dealer is dead for most of the fight. Thanks God for those extra turns, because now Ninja can get another turn in here before and maybe deal some serious damage. Or maybe we can go... No, we don't have an ally attack. Either way, we're going to go with this. A weak hit. You see, we got 500k instead of 200k because of the defense down and weaken. So we managed to complete one of the trials. Next time when we get to this form, I'm going to be able to complete this as well. This part is much harder, where you got to deplete the Chimera's dual bar. So most likely we're not going to get that done. And by the looks of it, most likely we're not going to get this trial 3 either. And trial 2 either. Because we need to do 2 million damage. And my champion dies constantly and the damage doesn't count towards it. So that kind of sucks. I'm not going to buff right there. Once we're going to get out of this form and we bring Ninja back on, guys, you're going to be able to see kind of like better numbers, better hits from him. Okay, let's do that. A1, put the block buffs, and we're going to be able to revive in just a second. Let's put a decreased speed, super important. You cannot go versus this boss without decreased speed and some form of a turn meter. So we're going to increase the duration of buffs and debuffs right there. And I don't have decreased attack. I was going to say, do not kill my ninja again. I've just realized after I revived that I don't have decreased attack. So we can go with an ally attack. Ninja will go back to full HP because of the leech. 858k, you see, is already getting better and better. Let's use the other skills as well. Look at that. 583k, 450 per hit. So that's 1.5 million damage, raw damage. Then you have 120k from the HP burn, or it might be a bit less on Nightmare. Is it 40k per burn in here, or is it 20k? We're gonna check that in a second because I actually forgot. 40k, okay, so it's 40k. Yeah, so an additional 120k from the HP burn. That's a lot of damage, considering that is not enemy max HP. Yes, you do need that increased attack, it's very important. And without Mikage, I'll be very honest with you guys, it is a bit harder for you to fit in a raw damage dealer that doesn't bring his own increased attack into the team. You can find different champions like Glaykad. I think Raka brings increased attack as well, if I'm not mistaken. Different revivers that will give you increased attack, right? Where are we? 944k with the A1. Look at that. 500k, 437, 587. Then we got a burn, 40k per pop as well. So very, very good damage from Ninja. Toshiro does bring more damage, of course. He's a miracle champion. as expected. But either way, if you don't have Marius, you don't have Newt, you don't have Acrisia, you don't have Toshiro, Ninja is your best bet. And even if you have Toshiro, look at me. I'm using Ninja over Toshiro just because of the trials, right? Now, the thing with 1.1 million with the basic skill. The thing with enemy max HP champions is that they're much easier to build. They don't require so many stats. Ninja requires attack. Yes, the enemy max HP requires crit rate, crit damage, and speed, and then whatever else you might want to give them, survivability, defense, etc. Some of them might require accuracy if you're planning to use them to debuff as well. But if that's not the case for you, it's going to be much easier to build them, right, than raw damage dealers. So I'm actually going to stop the run. I'm not going to do a full run, guys, because I just wanted to show you what sort of damage he's bringing. Ninja, look at that, 900k. Trust me, he will hit over 1 million with both the A1 and the A3. And of course, the A2 does way more than 1 million. So it's super, super helpful to have a champion like Ninja in the team. I do not, look at that, 1.2 million. And that was an ally attack as well. I'm not autoing Chimera, guys. It's very important for me to manual, to be able to complete trials, to have the skills at the right moment, etc. If that's not happening, I won't complete trials. So that's why I don't do auto on Chimera at the moment. But if we end battle, we are what? Turn 16, we have 34 million damage. Ninja already has 26 out of the 34, right? And we still have 49 more Chimera turns to go. So that will give us easily close to 200 million damage. If I would prioritize only to deal damage and don't care about trials, we would break 200 millions without a problem. And the top chest for Nightmare, if I'm not mistaken, is at what? 90? 84 million. Okay, so not even 90. 84 million. Easy peasy with a Ninja. Now let me show you the build. As I mentioned, this is an endgame build. You will have to basically drop it down to your own level. Drop it down to your own level. So let's start with Elva, right? So this is my Elva, guys. I'm going to show you the entire team. Elva is in 9-piece protection as fast as possible. I don't want her to be the highest defense in the team. And that's because the Lion form will prioritize Elva with the attack and the debuff. And that can kill her. At least on Ultra Nightmare, I had a situation where she died. So that's definitely something that you're trying to avoid. So because of it, I haven't gave her the highest possible defense. But I gave her some crit damage to make sure she's not the lowest crit damage in the team, even if the other champions have an increased crit damage buff, okay? Very, very important to keep at least a 40, 50 extra crit damage on your Reviver. Those are some extra tips, right? In terms of a blessing, of course, I have the one that gives us extra healing from continuous heals. These are her masteries. We have Timely Intervention as tier 6. We're actually not running War Master. Then the next one, let's bring in Nekmotar. Even though I have a video on him, I'm still going to show you the build. So basically, Relentless, Impulse, Refresh accessories, as many as possible. Shame I cannot give him a second one. As fast as possible. And you do need around 500 accuracy. You see, the crit damage is much lower. So he's the target for the Ram form. 92% crit rate, 65k HP, 4.8k defense. Blessing, we have Cruelty, and Masteries, we have Offense and Support. We do have War Master as tier 6. I do have a Relic on him, actually. I forgot about it. So I have this Relic on him. It's not really doing much at the moment. Turn meter decrease effects are 10% less effective on the wearer, which is useless for this content. Basically, we're getting 53 defense, plus we are increasing our defense from here. Then the next champion is going to be Lady Mikage. Now, I've tried Mikage on quite a few different builds. I've tried using Lydia on a Toxic set. That did not play out too good, so I decided to give it to Lady Mikage instead. I do have this Golden Elixir Relic on her, which is at level 1. 53 extra attack. Wearer is instantly healed by 10% when their HP drops below 50. And I think that only happens once. So Toxic and 5-piece protection. These are the total stats. You just want to have as much speed as possible. Accuracy, you don't need to have 500. 350 plus is enough. And she's the highest defense champion in my team to make sure the lion form attacks her with that skill and the debuff, right? 335 speed. We have cruelty on her as a blessing as well. And masteries, I've changed them recently actually. I gave her a War Master and lasting gifts, and I have Spirit Haste. The reason why I did not want to get Master Hexer is to ensure that I'm not applying those poisons for 3 turns, and I don't want to have a higher chance to drop the poisons either, right? So hopefully that makes sense. Then we have Lydia as the one of the final champions. She's on a 9-piece feral set that will boost a bit the damage as well for Ninja. Is all about how many debuffs we can land with her. I tried to give her a bit of damage too, because as you guys probably noticed on the Ram form, Ninja struggles to complete the trials because he just dies and dies and dies. So this will help a little bit to deal some additional damage. Nothing crazy, but better than nothing, basically. As you may notice, she has a bit of a crit damage as well, 310 speed, and no relic on her. Brimstone, because it's at 5 stars, so is a much higher chance to land. Brimstone does bring a lot of damage, by the way. And we have offense and support. Master Hexer, you want to have lasting gifts, and we have War Master on her. And the final champion, Ninja. Yes, my Ninja is +4. He does have a 6-star crushing rand. That makes him deal crazy damage as well. But as I mentioned, if you don't have the other options, the other champions, he is your best possible option, okay? Hands down, you won't find a better option than Ninja. Because if you're looking to basically bring in a different raw damage dealer, will only really out damage your Ninja if by any chance that champion is with 6-star crushing rand. It has maybe some empowerment, and you're giving him the exact same gear like you're giving to Ninja, and he does have something fancy in the kit. Maybe a Turvold could compete with Ninja, especially because he's Void Affinity. But again, you need to have that blessing on, and Turvold is not free. Ninja was free. I have him built on a 6-piece Merciless set. Pretty nasty stats, as I mentioned. It is pretty hard to get accuracy on them as well. I do have to admit that, of course, the blessing helps a lot. The empowerment helps a lot with the accuracy. That's a lot of extra accuracy from there. Is basically one banner. It helps with the speed. The good thing with Ninja as well is that you don't need to have the craziest speed on him, because he gains star meter from the basic skill, guys, which will allow you to build a champion at 200 speed and still perform like a champion that's at 250 speed or so, because he's gaining so much star meter from the A1, right? So these are his total stats, as you guys may notice on the screen. I do have a relic on him, actually, and this is the golden elixir, pretty much the same thing I had on Mikage, and that's mainly to gain additional stats, attack and accuracy. And I have this gemstone as well, the rare gemstone. Star meter increase effects are 10% more effective on the wearer, which means that whenever he's gaining star meter from the A1, from Nekmotar, he will gain 10% additional star meter. So that's really, really helpful. The other one is pretty useless as a gemstone in here. I have Crushing Rand as tier 6. This will be the best blessing at 6-star for pretty much all of the damage dealers that don't ignore defense. Mainly because the bosses have such a high defense. This will be really, really helpful. In terms of masteries, we have offense and support. Yes, you definitely need to get that extra accuracy from here. Master Hexer will be really helpful on him. Getting the Lore of Steel can be very helpful based on whatever sets you might have on Ninja. Cycle of Violence will not help you in this content because you're not going to exceed 30% of the enemy's max HP with one skill. And Helm Smasher as tier 6. Yes, at some point we're going to end up in ignoring too much defense, but to be honest, there's never too much of that, right? That was all for this video. Keep in mind, I'm just trying to basically point you towards the right direction to use a different damage dealer if you don't have Marius, Newt, Acrisia. And even if you have some of those, he might be more helpful for some of the trials. You might pair him with one of those champions and get a much better score, right? Let me know your thoughts in the comments down below. How many of you guys are already using Ninja in the Chimera? As usual, appreciate all of you guys watching, and I will catch you all in the next video. Peace.